Ah, and back with another one for you guys. So, a lot of you guys have seen video footage, anyways, that I posted last weekend. But here is my Jericho 941 RS. It's an interesting pistol for sure. I love the weight of it because it's an all steel frame gun. It's a double and single action with a really nice single action. Uh, this is the safety decocker model, so when it's down, trigger don't do shit. It's ambi on the safety. Um, it's a really nice shooting gun. As far as right out of the box, it was at 25 feet, point of aim, point of impact. I haven't really pushed it out any further than that so far. Um, the one fault I could probably find is these cheap, cheesy plastic grips, which I already know where to get the ones I want. They're $100 though, or a little bit more depending on if I go for the custom route. But overall, this thing shoots fantastic. Um, did have a couple weird things with it. At the indoor shooting range, this thing will eject so violently, it'll bounce the case off the sidewall and actually bounce back into the chamber and actually jam the gun. Outdoors, not a problem. At the indoor range, I did run into that a couple times, I think 3 or 4 times. But I've put about probably close to 500 rounds through this now. And other than that, and that's not even a failure on the gun, um, this does take traditional full size CZ75 mags. You can get the Israeli made ones. It will take factory CZ75 mags. It will take the Metgar CZ75 mags. Um, it's not 100% reliable with the CZ or the Metgar mags. It won't sometimes lock the slide back on empty. The mags that came with the gun function flawlessly. I can deal with that, you know, because I picked up the Metgar mag for 20 something bucks brand new. So not a really big deal. Definitely a good mag. Um, the hardest part with this is finding a damn holster for it. Because the only ones I can seem to find are all the Israeli stuff. The Phobos type holsters and like literal Israeli made stuff for it. Very little aftermarket support over here in the US that I've found. But if you do know where to find holsters for it, let me know in the comments. Because I will carry this gun. It's heavy, but I mean, it's perfect. As you can see, it's got a pretty good sized barrel. I wish they would add some, and I may have it milled. I don't know yet. Have some forward serrations on this because it is a little bit with this safety decocker. It does not give you a lot of room to rack it, but you rack it like any other CZ because every other CZ or CZ derivative has this with the rails inside the frame design. So what you do is you just grab the slide, rack with your lower hand. Makes it much easier instead of trying to rack it like this. It does have an uncaptured recoil spring. And it's a dual spring, so it's kind of weird. Uh, I don't know if it's a stainless steel guide rod, but it's a steel guide rod in this gun. Very good double action. Probably maybe 10 pounds, plus or minus a pound or two. So not bad. I actually like the grip feel better than some CZs, honestly. And you know from the hat, I love my CZs. The single action trigger in this thing is very nice. Very little take up to the wall right there. That's about all the movement you get. And then it's probably maybe a 4-pound single action trigger at that. And I'm sure there are some aftermarket spring kits out there available for them. Now, I've been told to look around in maybe the Baby Desert Eagles. You might have some compatibility with the holsters. I haven't really looked into that yet too much. As you can see, it's not a blued barrel. It functioned. It's gone bang every time I've pulled the trigger. So that's a good thing. I do like the hammer over the ring style CZ hammers. Gives you a little bit more purchase on it to rack it. Getting oil all myself because I oiled the gun after I shot it. Some OCD about cleaning my guns after shooting them. You will get, and it's not an idiot scratch, but with the takedown lever here, you see that? It's so tightly fitted that it will wear the finish off right there. But it's underneath it, so you don't see it unless you take it apart. I can barely, let me lock it back here so I can show you. I can barely reach the shelf for it with my thumb. And you can do it single-handed, but I've just adapted to using a two-hand method. So you bring it up and you just drop it with your other thumb. It's got front serrations on the trigger guard, which honestly, that's how I actually shoot. That's how I taught myself to shoot, and it works for me. You can see from the targets I've in my last video where I was shooting this in my new PSA AR. I ate the shit out of that center of the target. I mean, this thing, a couple upgrades here and there, and it would be a really nice pistol. It's nice to begin with, but it would definitely be a little bit nicer if they added front serrations. Just because the design is nothing, because how angled it is through here. The sights, I think the stock sights that come on this are, let me see if I can get a view on it. There we go. Better than the stock CZ sights that come on, say, a PO1 or a CZ75. They're probably just about as low profile, but I don't know why. Maybe it's just because the white dots are so white, but they seem to be much easier to pick up. I'm definitely glad I bought this. I've been wanting a Jerico since Classic and a few other people that I know bought Jericos, but I didn't want a single action only gun because I don't believe in safeties on a carry gun. Now this kind of is a safety, but at the same time, it's not. It's a safety decocker. So I can live with that because you rack it, drop it in the double action, put it back up, it's ready to go. Or you can actually carry it with the safety on if you so choose, which I don't. The double action is safety enough in my book. Came with 2 mags, a bunch of swag because IWI does hook you up with swag. A couple stickers in the box, a little keychain fob thingy. So that's nice. I didn't get any CZ stickers in any of my CZ guns boxes. The fit and finish on this is excellent. I mean, the finish on this externally, it's slick, but it's got a slight texture to it. It's weird. It's definitely not like the CZ Polycoat paint finish they use. It feels somewhat like Nitron or something like that. I like this because I can get a full grip on it. I wish I had some of the mags right here, but I don't. But I picked this up from PSA actually. They had this on sale, brand new, for $480. How can you go wrong for brand new Jericho for that price? They probably got them because Classic had the surplus Jericos, which when you figure in, if you did the hand select, you're talking over $400. So for less than $100 more, I got a brand new one with a rail. And this is actually closer to, I don't know if you got any of you are anime fans, but this is closer to the Cowboy Bebop spike gun than the ones Classic had. About the only difference is the rail on this one, because I was specifically looking for the one with the slide mounted decocker. All the ones I saw Classic had the frame mounted safety, and that's not right. But overall, I'm very impressed with it. I think this slide is actually tighter fit than some of my CZs. There's very, very little wiggle room between slide and frame. So they definitely put out a quality pistol here. It's got checkering on the back, a little bit of checkering on the back strap, a little bit on the front strap, which with my steel frame PO1, it's a slick grip. There's no checkering on the front or the back on my steel frame PO1. This feels, it's probably about the same weight as my PO1, maybe a little heavier even. But I like that weight in a pistol, especially just because it makes the recoil, if you're running hot ammo through it, which this thing is designed for hot ammo. No, most of the Israeli ammo is pretty damn hot. So this gun can take a beating. This thing's a tank, basically. Easy way to put it, it's a tank. It's got, I think, a slightly extended mag release over most CZs, unless you put an aftermarket one in. It's a little on the stiff side, but I'm pretty sure it'll break in nice. I have no problem pressing it. I do have to slightly move the gun if I want to release a mag, drop a mag, but not a big deal overall. Takes down exactly the same way as a CZ. The takedown on the barrel recoil is a little different. I actually kind of like the way they did this better, because it's actually in the lug for the recoil spring notched. Instead of just a half moon style notch, it's actually notched in. Hard to describe. If you've ever held one of these, you'll know what I'm talking about, though, or if you've ever taken one of these down. Get my computer to boot up here so I can shut it down because it sounds like crap. Hard drive must be dying again. I put 250 rounds at a time through this thing, and it was definitely dirty. The whole muzzle up here was dirty. It just wiped right off. Didn't have to CLP it, didn't have to scrub it, nothing. It just wiped right off. As you can probably see, I still do get a little bit of black from, probably didn't clean the inside of the slide as well as I should have. But, I mean, when you rack one of these, you'll feel how smooth it is. It's, I want to say, almost fitted better than a CZ. Because the CZs, the first time I shot my green PO1, I put a couple hundred rounds through it, and the poly coat had already worn off on the inside of the rails. This, very minimal contact, and if it is contacting, it's only minimal, and it's putting barely anywhere on the finish after 500 rounds. So that's a good sign right there. That means that this is a well-fit gun. But like I said, the only drawback to it is these grips. Now, Lock does make grips for this. They do make the Cowboy Bebop grips for this. But I'm going to I will be ordering a set of those G10 grips. But I want them with the purple stripe going down the grooving all inlaid into it. So I got to contact them about that. But yeah. And the nice thing about this, even if you try, with the way this is angled, you'd have to really hit this slide at an angle to push it out of battery. So just, that slide doesn't go anywhere. So even if you bury this into somebody, if you had to belly shot them, that slide's not going to come out of battery like most typical where it's flat because it's got this angle cut to it. And I actually just figured that one out. But that's all for that. I got another couple videos coming up, and I'll see you in a few.